Hi students, Cynthia Nitch here, wanting to cover visualization and analysis for SAC Analytic Cloud. So I'll go over the lecture and then I really want you to watch this video, Beauty of Data Visualization. It'll just kind of help you imagine what your final project could look like. And it's just a nice introduction to data visualization actually. So here we go. I'm going to go to the lecture. This isn't a bad lecture. It's really quick and it's interesting, I think. So anyway, visualization enhances your reports to better communicate your intended message. So obviously our eyes can just kind of like recognize patterns quickly, and so that's why visualization is so important, because we can get, you know, what do they say, that a picture is worth 1,000 words? So it's kind of like that, right? So in visualization, it would be your job to get as much as you need to tell your customer or your your business partner what you're trying to accomplish in a very quick and easy way. So you need to know who your audience is. Are you going for your customer, or you're doing it as a presentation amongst your peers? What are you doing, and how do you want to relay that message? Obviously, you need to understand your data that you're pulling through. So if you have any questions, you'll be able to expand on that data because you know the data, right? And then understanding your presentation medium. I think the easiest one would be PowerPoint, but obviously we're doing dashboards for SAC. So you would, you know, if you were to show those things, you want to be familiar of how to troubleshoot them. Okay, so pattern recognition, like I was saying, is the human eye and brain have evolved especially well for pattern recognition. And researchers and scientists suggest that cognition essentially involves recognizing patterns, which is really interesting, I find. Okay, so the acute pattern recognition is the primary reason we visualize data and use charts and graphs, because it's just easier to kind of digest. These visualizations allow the human brain to scan large amounts of data and quickly spot trends. So obviously if you had a bunch of data here, who knows, how would you even figure this out? The only thing I'm looking at that I can see that there's months, years, you know, and here's a year's month, quality. I don't even know that one. That would just like be wasted on me. So you obviously, if you had it in a pattern, you could really see what's happening here and what's your low months and your high months on what you're selling. So I think it's just, obviously we want to put more graphs in our reports and stuff so it's easily recognizable. Here's bubble charts. We will be doing a bubble chart in the story assignment, and a bubble chart uses circles to represent data points. So basically the variable is customers, right? And then the revenue is, in this chart, what number of orders that a customer has placed, is the size, and the revenue is the color. So obviously when you're looking at that, it's just like size is going to give me more money, right? So the best one is here, correct? And the worst one, who knows, maybe it's this one. Okay, so the next one is heat maps, and you'll just kind of, it's kind of like a bubble chart, right? It's just not circle, and it'll just show you what's happening, heat map of revenue and product. So obviously this revenue and product would be the best, right? Okay, heat maps are created to handle extra variables. They are similar to concept of bubble charts, obviously. I think that this one makes more sense if I were going to do a map. I like the bubble chart map. I would do one or the other, right? And then this tree map is really interesting because it will have, like, on this, it would be hierarchical, so you could see the breakdown of what's happening. So tree maps expand the capacity of heat maps by enabling a hierarchical presentation of additional variables. And we do have hierarchical in that model, so you could use this if you wish for your final project. And they are particularly versatile in that the hierarchical layers can be added to depict multiple variables. So it's kind of neat. You can't really see much here. But in the video, they show heat maps or tree maps, excuse me, and you can really see the impact of how they are being used. Okay, the right chart for the right data. Choosing the right chart can mean a difference between getting your point across and just putting a pretty picture up. So it's essential to consider your audience and the message you wish to convey, especially for, I'm talking about your final project because that's when you're going to pick your own charts. You need to make sure it's succinct and like you're not just data dumping a bunch of information. You want to kind of pick things like, you know, Europe against, you know, Europe compared to United States, or male versus female. You want it very clear on what you're doing, and then maybe you would even narrow it down. You would say like California versus France or something like that. So it's just a better way to subscribe or to describe your charts if they're really focused. Okay, so line charts, if you display data such as increase and decreases, obviously it would be the best thing to do it in a line chart. And pie charts as a whole would need to add up to 100%. So if you have things that you want to compare, but it kind of, you know, is going to go and add up at 100%, then people could see how much distribution is happening. So pie chart is the most effective at highlighting proportional relationships. That's an easy one, right? Especially if on your final project. Okay, so charting considerations. Know your audience, like we said. You might choose a different visualization for a group of engineers than you would a group of grade school teachers. The type of data, the amount of data, and the number of variables in a data set could guide you to the choice of visualization. Consider the message. You make sure your visualization delivers that message clearly. So I think this next slide is like the best slide of the lecture, because you can really see if someone were to do a chart that was ineffective, right? So these numbers, it's kind of blurry, I apologize, but it's like 1.1 to 1.3, and you really could see the variation. And on this one, they kind of do it in quarters, right? So 25, 50, you know, and then 100, 150. So you never really see the movement of what the interest rates are really doing because it's just too large. So this axis, it has too large of numbers, so you can't really depict the differences. But this is a little bit of a nuance of your axis here, and then you can really see the difference, right? So this is what I want when you're thinking about your final project, is I need to see the difference between these and not just this little slight difference in a type of report like this. So good, bad. All right, and then also this one, you can see that the chart, kind of the height of the chart, the way you make the chart, if you make it big enough, then people can kind of pattern it. You can see it right away what's happening, right? June and July are my low months. On this one, it's kind of blurred, like, oh gosh, this one looks a little bit like this one, you know? So you want to make sure that you make your chart on a great scale chart, but actually big enough for people to see it. Then on this one, it was just, I found this on when I was researching charts, and I liked how this was. So, you know, convey your message, apply semantic notation, increase information density, like don't make it this huge amount of information, ensure visual integrity and express, choose proper visualization, like don't do a pie chart when you're looking at something like increases and decreases and stuff. Avoid clutter, and then organize the content. So other visualization techniques is called a tag cloud. Sometimes I have this as an assignment, but this semester I didn't put it in. But you can kind of see, like, just visually you can see the air pump has been the biggest seller if you look at this tag cloud. And then you have infographics. This was big like maybe 10 years ago, but nobody really does that anymore. All right, so here you go. So and then we have geo pie charts. We're gonna do a geo chart, but we're not gonna put pie on them. We're just gonna color it where our markets are, and then have the little dots of actually where our location of our business partners are. So SAC stories is what we call them. So visualization and analysis is created as a story because we've already created the model. A story can have many pages and create a dashboard per se, but in the stories assignment, we're just going to do one chart per page, so we'll have 6 pages. How you organize your story is largely determined by the message you wish to convey. So you'll see that in your homework. We've watched this video, or I've had this video on the previous module, so you probably have already seen it. But if you want to look at it again and see how he manipulates the charts in the dashboard, I would suggest that you start the video at 13 minutes so you can see how he creates his heat map and then horizontal chart and the pie graph and so forth. So it might be interesting for you to look at if you know that in your job, your actual job after college, you might be doing these things, and you'll have a better understanding of how they relate. So these are the things that you'll be doing in the story or in your story assignment. Is we're going to create a geo map with 2 layers. We're going to use linked analysis to link components of a story, which means like if I change one thing or one graph, the other graph will change, okay? And then I'm going to create a calculated measure. We wanted to find out what the profit margin was based on a couple of measures. And then we want to create a time series analysis. That's just like, what did we make from, I think the date is from like 2020 to 2025, and you see what we actually made or what we're looking to make as a forecast. And then we create variance analysis on finding out, I think I have those down here, so I might be taking too much time on this, and I have them on each slide, so let's look at them. So GeoMap, here are our customers, and then here you can see our customer, we have, the revenue on these customers are on the little dots, and then this is kind of our revenue and our customer location. Then we do our linked analysis, and this linked analysis is the link I think I have a picture down here of it. Yeah, so basically if you change one, the other chart would change as well, and you have to set that link up. And here's a video of it if you want to take some time to read that. So we're going to do a linked analysis based on gross margin ratios. We have to find, as a calculation, your gross margin. So you'll be doing that in the story as part, as creating your linked analysis graph. And this is the formula. So it's revenue, USD revenue minus USD cost, minus the discount divided by the revenue times 100. And that'll give you your gross margin ratio. And then we compare those ratios based on the different customers. So I'll show you that. So this is what it would look like when you're done with your story on this linked analysis. So you find your gross margin ratio. That was that formula that you would need to plug in. And then you could click, if you click on this first one, then it would show what the first one number is. And then if I clicked on Capital Bikes, the next customer, then this number would change and show me what Capital Bikes has been doing. So that's kind of how it links. It links this table to this, and then you can see the different types. On conditional formatting, you're probably used to doing this on Excel. So you would have something that you would have a bar, or I'm sorry, a line chart here, and you would say, okay, if it's green, if it's above 50, I'll put it green. You can make these numbers up according to what you want to do on your final project. And you would say the mid-range would be this dark blue, or maybe it would be yellow, who knows. So you would do your number range here, and then your data would then go ahead and pinpoint that down below. So let's look at one. So this is the conditional formatting. This is the second formatting that I have you do. There's two of them on that, on the one of the graphs that you have to make. And it just shows you, like, if it's okay, it's green. And if it's red, it's not okay. And then kind of this is where everything is. So like the gross margin ratio for the bikes actually isn't okay, right? But the gross margin ratio of accessories is doing really well. So you will be doing a conditional formatting chart for your assignment. And then you'll do a time series analysis, and it will be from like 2020 to 2025, and it'll just kind of show you what would it look like or what has it looked like and what it'll look like in the future. So this is what this looks like. So exponential smoothing model just means that you're not, it's not like being categorized of like your high Christmas sales or your high July sales. It's everything in between, right? So it says this is used to forecast time series data that doesn't have a clear trend or seasonality. It doesn't have a clear cycle. So it's just kind of like what's happening in general of our sales. So revenue for United States over time would be May 1st, 2019. In this graph, it's March 1st, 2020, which just kind of shows us what's going to happen. Here's the March line, right? And this would be the April side of it. All right, so then you have variance chart, which is interesting and straightforward, a visual representation that displays the difference between two sets of data, typically actual and target. So check this out. So here's my actual number, 14.78, and I went above my target, above 4.30. But I didn't do really well here, right? I went under target. This one did well. This one's above target. So you'll see that in that graph. I'll show you in this next slide here. So in your revenue, you have your cost and your revenue here. So your cost is green, so we're under 47 here. That's great. So all of these are great, and then this is our revenue, right? If you notice, this one right here is the average sales quantity. You need to make sure you're on the right year. So make sure you read the directions slowly on this one. And obviously this is 2024, so if it was at 2025, your number is going to be different here. And this is sales quantity per project or per product compared to the average. So the average is here, 28,000, right? And then it shows where it's high and where it's low. And then finally, when you get to your bubble chart, that'll be it. So bubble charts are easy. Some of you guys sometimes don't get this legend correct, so you want to make sure you get that done. But bubble charts allow you to display the clusters representing 3 variables. So you have an x-axis, a y-axis, and the size of the bubble. And you'll make 2 of those bubble charts, that's nice. And most of you guys will do a bubble chart for your final project because it's one of the easier graphs to do. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.